friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sharon. I call myself Mad Paper Crush because that's what I have, a Mad Paper Crush. And today I am bringing you a video on making a flip-flop journal. Now, these are all over the place and you can certainly find other processes, other places, but I wanted to try to break it down because as I was trying to figure out how to make these, I was really struggling with how they were coming together. And so in my mind, I made it easier for me by breaking it down into a very simple process that I hope you can take and transfer to any medium. So oftentimes you see them made with envelopes. You can make them with scrapbook paper. You can make them with, just about anything you would want to turn into a cover. And today I'm going to be showing you how to do it using a Amazon shipper package. So we're going to be recycling, which I love to be able to do that. And the first piece of this video is going to show you how to make that flip-flop journal very easily so that you can figure out how to do it again for yourself. So I just wanted to kind of show you the flip-flop journals I have come up with. We are going to be making this beauty here, and this one is a smaller flip-flop journal. So it only has 3 signatures, as you can see there. There's one here, and one here. So we're going to be making this one. And then I just wanted to show you this one. This was the first one I did, which was a little bit bigger. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signatures in it. And I love this one just as much. It's just a little bit bigger in terms of size and also in terms of thickness because of the more signatures. So I'm going to do a flip through of this one in another video. All right, so I hope you'll join me as we make this flip-flop journal from recycled packaging. Let's go. All right, so first things first, I'm going to talk to you about how to make a flip-flop journal. And I'm hoping that I can do it in a way that is simple for you to understand so that you can make it with anything that you want to. So I just grabbed some papers that I had and I cut 6 pieces. Because for any flip-flop journal, you're going to need an even number of panels. And that will help you do it. So you can make a flip-flop journal as big or as small as you want with the number of panels that you make. So traditionally, or I've seen them made with envelopes and things like that, and I've seen them most of the time with 6 panels. So that's where we're going to start, with 6 panels. All right, once you've got your 6 panels, you need to put them together. So this is how, for example, you would put together envelopes or other papers or whatever. I'm just going to be using washi tape right now so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to take 2 panels, and now these 2, I have sized these at 5 by 8 inches, but you can make your flip-flop journal any size you want. This is just what I'm starting with. So I'm going to keep going, adding panels. Now I'm just, I'm putting this together just as an example. You could put these together with fabric. You could, they could be, folded pieces that are put together. You could put them together with paper. You can kind of use whatever you want. So now I have 4 panels together. I'm going to keep going here. I'm adding my 5th one, and I'm just leaving a little bit of room because you have to be able to fold them on top of each other so you know where your signatures are going to go. So this is not an exact science. Now, the last panel, which is the same size as these, can be a different size. So a lot of times you see flip-flop journals where the front panel is a little bit smaller. So this was 8 inches. I'm going to take this down, maybe 2.5 inches there. And I'm going to make it maybe, 3.5 inches wide or something like that. This obviously can change depending on what you want to do. So this is the last panel, and we're going to connect that as well. And a lot of times it's not, put at the bottom or the top. It's just kind of put into the middle of the panel there. Whoops. I didn't hold that very good. Just like this. Okay. So now all you're going to do is you're going to zigzag fold these up with your front piece on the front, and then you're just going to go back and forth. So you figure out where the first one goes so that it goes to the front of the next panel, and then you just go back and front and back and front. So it's just a zigzag fold with however many even number of panels you have total. So you can see it kind of makes a little zigzag just like that. Now, if you're using envelopes, a lot of people have pockets that are put here, and obviously you could connect these in such a way that it would make a pocket if you wanted to do that, but you certainly don't have to do that. And your signatures then would go inside each of these folds like this, and then you have your back. And then as you start opening the other side, you would put your signatures in on this side as well. So that's how you do it. Now, I'm not going to show you how to insert envelopes into each other and things like that, but because I wanted you to be able to sort of translate this into anything you wanted to do. So now this is a 6-panel flip-flop journal. I want to do the same thing with this mailer that I have. So I already kind of tore it in half. It normally looks like this. So it's a little, Amazon mailer that I'm going to use to make a flip-flop journal. And I've torn it in half. And I know that I want my size to be about 7 inches tall by 4.5 inches wide. Now, for each one of these, I'm going to do a double panel. So instead of doing single panels for this, I'm going to cut this down to 7 inches high. Let me do that first. So we'll get that started. I'm just going to cut off the edge so that hopefully I have a straight edge here. So we're going to do this 7 inches tall. And I'm going to do this one 7 inches tall as well, because I want them to match, obviously, at least for starters. Okay, so now I have my 7-inch panels, and because I want my journal, my total journal, to be 4.5 inches wide, this is going to be 2 panels, so I'm going to make it 9 inches wide. That's what I'm going to cut it down to. So I'm just going to cut this little edge off here, and then we're going to cut this down to 9 inches wide. And then we'll do the same for this one, and then I will show you how this works out with the same principle that we did with our loose panels here. Okay, so now I have my 2 pieces here, and I'm just going to fold them over like this. Okay. And I'm going to fold this one over the same way, just fold it in half. And now I have 4 panels ready to go. Now I can put on, a different panel. If I wanted to, I could add 2 more or whatever to make it a 6-panel one. But this one, I am going to make a 4-panel flip-flop journal. So now we're going to put these together, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Okay, before I put them together, I want to do one more thing. So one of these panels, I am going to cut into 2 pieces. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to change the size of the front panel. So as we did before, the front panel was a little bit smaller. And so I'm just going to cut this down a little bit on each side. So we know it's 7 inches tall. I'm going to start with maybe 1.5 inches off. And then we know it's 4.5 inches wide. I'm going to go down to maybe 3 inches. I think that might be a little small. Let's try 3.5 inches. I'd rather come back and cut it down later. And let's see how that looks as a front piece. And I think that that's going to look perfect on here. Okay, so this is my front panel, which I did cut down. And then I have my other 3 panels here, so I have an even number of panels, and now we're going to connect them. All right, to put these together, I am going to use some torn fabric strips. So I just tore them about a little over an inch wide, and I actually made enough to go on this seam, and this seam on both sides. So this is how I would normally do it. Now I'm just going to start with a pretty flat one actually for this side, and I'm going to put some glue on my fabric, and then I'm just going to use my finger to kind of spread it out. So I've noticed that if you don't spread it out, this kind of glue will actually, the lines will show, and I definitely don't want that, even though probably most of this will be covered up with you know, when I decorate my journal. And now I'm just going to try to make sure I've got these pretty much even without moving the 2 of papers underneath. And I left just about 1/8 of an inch opening on there. And then I'm going to do the same for not just the back of this one, but I'm going to do these as well, just so when the journal is closed, you'll see the same kind of binding. And you certainly don't need to do that. You could leave those open, since they're already, you know, those panels are already technically together. You really don't even need to put fabric on them if you don't want to. So let's see, for example, I think this journal that I have, yeah, this journal. So I put the panels together with fabric here, and on the inside you can see them on the where I have stitched them, but the other panels that were already just folded together, I left them blank. So you don't need to put fabric on here if you don't want to. So that is definitely a personal choice. So I'm going to do that one in a minute, but what I want to do first is I want to get this one added on. Now I want to put this, I cut strips that were a little bit shorter, just about as wide. These look a little wider maybe. And I'm going to get some glue on here, hopefully on one side. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put them together so they're about even. And this one was a little further apart than I wanted, so I'm just going to pull that up a little bit to make sure that it's, you know, kind of exactly where I want it to be. And actually that looks totally uneven. So I'm going to pull it up and put that down again to make it look like an even gap there. And we'll do this last one as well. And now I think the thing that's the hardest about these flip-flop journals is which way, you know, to fold things. And what I've kind of figured out is that you need to have a panel that folds onto the front. And so that's what this is. And then you just start folding in the opposite direction for the other things. So that's kind of how you do that. And I mean, these papers are going to be decorated, so it doesn't really matter which way they fold. The only thing is, like, if I was starting this way, if I decided, you know what, I want this to be my front, then I would do the same thing. I would fold this over to the right. I would fold the rest over to the left, and then fold this back up to the right, so that I have everything going in opposite directions. So the main thing you need to have when you have a flip-flop journal is a front and a back that work together nicely. So if this is my front, I open this just like a book from this direction. And if this is the back of my journal, I want my back panel to fold like this, just as I would close a book, if that makes sense. So you can see now I have my 4-panel journal, and in this one I will have a signature here on this side. That's 1. I'll have another one here 2, and then I'll have a third one here 3. So this flip-flop journal will only have 3 signatures in it. All right, now that you know how to make the base of a flip-flop journal, let's talk about the rest of this little cutie. So what we're gonna do is I have chosen some papers. These are called lichen, and I absolutely love the colors in them. And I am going to use these for most of the base that I'm doing. So I'm just picking out some that I think would look nice as the base, and we'll start cutting. So I have these that I can use for later, but I think I'm gonna start with these. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them so that they're maybe 1/8 of an inch smaller than each of my panels. So as you can see, most of this will probably be covered up. Even the fabric will probably be covered up once we get everything cut out. So since I know that these are, what did we say, 7 by 4.5, then I know I can cut them a little bit smaller than 7 and a little bit smaller than 7 and 4.5. So I'm just going to go maybe 1/8 of an inch smaller, actually maybe 1/4 of an inch smaller. So that would give me 1/8 of an inch at each side. This doesn't have to be exact. You just want, I mean, you could certainly do the whole length if you wanted to. I like the brown of this packaging, and that's why I wanted to show just a little bit. So actually I'm gonna want to do this way as my length, or I'm sorry, as my height. So I'm gonna do this about 1/4 of an inch shorter than 7, and I could keep these for making some pockets and different things like that if I wanted to. And now I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna cut this one a little bit less than 4.5, about 4 1/4 maybe. And then I'm gonna see, I think that I like this side too, so I'm gonna do the same over here. We'll do this one 4 1/4. So we have 2 panels, and I'm just, before I keep going, I'm just gonna double check that they fit the way that I want them to, which I think that they do here. So I know that I need 6 of that size to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So those panels will be, like I said, the little, what did we say, 6 3/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches. And then I need 3 for the other side. So this is 2. I know I'm going to need 6 of those, and then we'll do the front side when I get those done. Okay, I have my 6 panels ready to go, but now I'm going to do the front panel, which is not the same size. So what I'm going to do is find my pencil. And for this one, I am going to just measure where I want it to be. So for the width, I'm just lining it up by the edge, you know, giving about 1/8 of an inch over there. And then I'm going to mark it at about 1/8 of an inch over here. And then the same thing from top to bottom. I'm going to leave myself a little bit at the bottom and then mark it about the top where I want it. Now I'm going to use this paper for the other side of the front panel as well, but I wanted to show you a little trick for making a fun little flip out on that one. So once we get this done, well, that wasn't right. Oh, I got it wrong. It must have been like a mark there. Yep, I see my actual mark was here. So that was silly. All right, well, let's see, because I really want to use that for the inside. So I think I'm going to keep that for later and find something else for the front. So the front, I'm probably going to be covering up with, you know, pictures and different things like that. So it doesn't have to be, you know, real pretty, but the inside I might want some of this decoration on, so that's why I'm using a different piece of paper. So let's see if I can do this again and actually cut on the pencil marks that I make that I'm supposed to use. So let's try this again. Okay. All right. This hopefully will be right. That looks better. Okay, that's our front. So that works. And then for the inside, now what I'm going to do is I want to make a little flip out on the inside, which means that I need a panel for here, but I'm going to have it flip out. So I'm going to actually make it double the size of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my front page and I'm just going to kind of line it up here. And I'm going to mark it lightly with my pencil. And then I'm going to mark another full section over here on where to cut. And then I'm going to use the same height there. So I think that will work out well. I'm going to cut it here. And now I have cut this all on, or I printed this all on cardstock paper. So it should be relatively easy to fold, but sometimes I like to use my embossing board, but I'm going to see if I can do it without. So I'm just going to fold the right sides together here. And then for my inside panel, you can see that I can open it up like this, and I'll have something in here, I don't know, pockets probably or something like that. But I'll have this little inside panel, which I love. So actually now what I could probably do is I could probably line this with something else so that, because we do want a cute little outside as well. Let me see if I have something fat enough, which I don't think I do. Those are my panels, can't use those. I could probably use one of these instead. So what I'll do, we're really going to get a lot of use out of this piece that I used for the front panel. And let's cut this one down. And then probably what I'll do is I will just sew those together so that they hold together nicely there. I could even maybe do a little pocket. Oh my, that would be fun, wouldn't it? Okay, so now I have this piece that we're going to put on here. I have my front panel here, and I have my 6 panels for everything else. Now for this piece, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew, these 3 sides together and leave this open for a little pocket. Now to do that, because this is really, really bright white, I'm going to find I'm just going to use my distress ink here. And we're just going to kind of knock a little bit of that off so that when you open the pocket, you won't see bright, bright white on there. And I don't think you'll be able to see all the way down in there, so I think that'll probably be enough. And this side is going to be glued down. And this side is my other side of the pocket, so I will do that on here. And then the other thing that I'm going to do while I'm putting this pocket together is I'm going to sew a bunch of stuff. a bunch of stuff. All right, so I'm going to put these together. And I'm going to sew this side, this side, this side. So my opening is right here. And then I'm also going to sew around the whole outside of, I'm going to sew around the whole outside of this probably before I even glue anything together. And then I will put this on as a pocket, but I'm probably going to sew around the outside of this as well. So then I'm also going to sew around each one of these panels before I glue them down. And I'm going to sew around the whole outside of my base pieces. Since this is recycled packaging, these ends are going to be open, and I certainly don't want anything flying out of those. So I want to do a zigzag stitch around the outside of this whole thing to make sure that nothing falls out. So I'll probably do this piece a little bit separate, and then I will go around all of the outside edges of this whole thing. So before I glue anything down, I will come back and kind of show you what I did so that you can see after I've actually done it before we start putting anything together. All right, I'm finished my sewing for now. And you can see I went all around the outside of the whole thing. I didn't do the inside creases. Since the fabric's on there, it's gonna keep everything contained, so I'm not worried about that. And then, let's see, here's the front piece that I'm going to glue down. And then when you open it up, I have my new little flap here. So this is the inside flap, but when you close it, there is a little pocket on the side here, which we can tuck something into. And I definitely want to do that. And then all of the other pieces are just the regular size panels that I'm going to figure out where I want to put them inside my journal. And then we'll do a little more decorating and put in the signatures. Okay, I have all my panels glued on and I love the way it's coming together. So you can see here, I have all of the packaging covered. You can't even really tell it's there. There's just a nice little border of it here and there, just to have some brown sticking out, which I think matches the papers that I've used really well. So now we need to do our signatures. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 signatures in this little flip-flop journal here. And so I'm gonna go choose some papers, and I'm just gonna choose, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 pages for each signature. And I'm gonna have it be a variety of different things in here. And then we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about some additional decoration on these panels too. All right, I went and grabbed about 15 papers, I think. And I just so you know, I have just a bunch of different things. Like these are old survey maps, but I loved the green in them, and I thought they would be fun with kind of the green of my papers. I grabbed a few of the Edith Holden book pages that I had that kind of were already torn apart, and these would actually, the size of these is perfect for if they go sideways. So I grabbed a couple of those. I have some old ledger paper in here. I have some vellum or tracing paper, I think this is, that was coffee dyed, and then just some other coffee dyed papers because I thought it would be nice to have sort of some writing areas to write on as well. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fold them into the right size for my signatures, and then kind of split them out into the right signatures. So that's kind of just going to go through and do that. And then once I have them all folded up into the right size that I want, I'll go back through and split them out into the signatures that I want to do. So I'm getting started here. And this one is a small one, but that's okay. It's good to have small papers in there as well. Now this one, these are really big, so I got to decide if I want to cut them down or if I just want to fold them kind of like these. Whoops, not like that one, like these are. So these were bigger as well, so I just kind of cut them down and made them into a tri-fold, because sometimes I think that's fun as well. And since this writing is just so beautiful, I think I might fold these that way so that there's like a little extra fold on the one side. Yeah, I think I might do that because I think I like that a lot. And then I'm just going to keep going until we get done here. All right, I have my signatures all ready to go. I have all the papers in the order that I want them, so I know where they're gonna end up. And I'm just, I'm not gonna sew them in yet, but I just kind of wanted to show you that once I have them all in there, then I have this beautiful little chunky flip-flop journal that's getting ready to go. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these back out again. Oops, I think I missed one here. Because I would like to do a little bit more decoration around the journal before it's finished. So I think I want to add in some pockets or some tuck spots on these kind of blank panel pages that might be fun to have, you know, tags or different things, you know, pockets that somebody could put something in, that kind of thing. So what the first thing I've done is I've taken some of my scraps, some of the offcuts that I had from when we were creating the base, and I'm going to be looking for how I can create some tuck spots here with that. So let's see, I thought I had this one. I kind of like the colors here, so this might be a fun little tuck spot. So all I'm going to do to create a tuck spot here, this is actually pretty perfect in terms of size. I don't think I need to cut it down anymore. I'm just going to round that corner a little bit there so that we have a tuck spot. And then that's kind of what I'm going to do as I go throughout. So I'm just going to kind of leave that there. And then I'm going to open this up because I do want to get like a full pocket on one of these. So this might be a good place for that. So I'm just going to take my pencil and mark this. And this one I do want to kind of go across the whole thing. So I marked that because it wasn't quite straight there, but I'll mark that there. And then of course we'll cut it. And for this one, I think I'm going to do a little notch in it. Is that right? I think I'm going to take my 2-inch punch and I'm going to find just about the middle there. Let's see. So that's between 4.5. So let me do this better. I'm going to put it between 5, and then we do 2.5. It's about right there. Maybe I should take my pencil. All right, and then I'm going to kind of try to center that mark there and just create a little notch for that. And then maybe for this one, this might be fun to just have like a kind of side tuck here. So once again, I think the size is pretty good. Actually, I might take maybe just a little bit off one edge here, so it's not quite as long. Yeah, I think I like that better. It'd be easier to like have a tag or something that you can tuck in like that here. And then I'm going to grab my tab board for this one, and then I'm just going to make a little tab on either side of the top here like this. Of course my schniblets will be all over the place. So I'm going to put that like maybe kind of like that. I think that'll be fun. All right, and then I think I'm going to leave the back plain for now. Those are hard. Words are hard sometimes. But maybe I will do a small pocket here. And then maybe I will do maybe a top tuck on this one. Yeah, I think I like that idea. So we'll do the same thing here. I'm going to leave it as wide as it is. And then I'm just going to, on the bottom edge, create my little tabs. Now, if you don't have a tab board like this, you could certainly just round the edges or even keep them straight. You know, either one is fine. And you can even add some fabric or something to it as well. So I think that's looking good so far. Now we're back to the beginning. And I do want to end up putting some things on the inside of this here. So let's see what we could do. I could maybe do another little tuck spot on the side. That would kind of mirror that one if I wanted to. I think that might be fun. Just because then I could put tag or something in there. Maybe what I'll do is I'll kind of do matching ones on either side of this. So I'm going to measure how about the size that I want. So I'm just eyeballing kind of where I want to cut that off. And I'm going to, so it was 2 1/4. I think I'm going to make it 2 1/2 height. And then I'll cut another one that's 2 1/2. Because then this one can go over here. And I will round those edges again, just so they're all looking kind of cohesive here. And now sometimes what I do is before I even glue panels down, a lot of times I will create these tuck spots and things and then sew them in together so that I don't have to worry about gluing things. But obviously I didn't do that this time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take all the pieces that I've just cut and I'm going to sew all the way around them. And then we'll glue them into their proper spots once I've done that. All right, my pieces are all sewed together. So now I just have to go through and glue them all in. So I'm going to take my Beacon 3-in-1 glue here. And for tuck spots, I just glue 2 sides. Try to keep my strings clear. And I'm just going to go through this whole thing and glue in all this stuff. Now, if you have some leakage, like I'm just seeing I have there, you want to be careful if you fold, you know, your pages over so that you don't end up gluing things together. So you might want to take some time, you know, between each one to kind of let things dry before you go on to the next one, because you'd hate to have to pull it apart so that, you know, it might tear your pages or something like that. So I'm going to let this dry and then we will do our, what did we decide here? We decided actually I think we decided a full pocket there and then a side tuck here. But I am going to wait until this dries a little bit to do that. And then I'm just going to finish that out. Okay, my tuck spots and pockets are all glued in and secured. And I really like the way it's coming together so far. And so now the next step is to sew in my signatures. So I probably, I was thinking about doing a little bit more embellishment on here, but I also am probably going to do a lot more embellishment on the whole thing once it's complete and put together. So I thought in order to finish this video, I would just go ahead and sew in the signatures so you could see that. Now I am going to sew in, I like to sew them in back to front, just in case something goes wrong. It's not on the, you know, front one that I have there. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is the one that is on the back side of the flip journal. So I'm going to grab my third signature. So this is the one I was going to use here. And this one does have my small piece of paper in there. So I don't know if I will hit it with my sewing needle because I was just going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch for this. But if I need to add some more reinforcement for that page, I will do that later. So what I'm going to do, usually when I do signatures, a lot of times I like to have a template so I know where my holes are going to be and things like that. But for this, I am going to fly by the seat of my pants. So I like to use these 4-inch paper clips to hold things in. And I kind of just put them on the edges of either side, one sort of on the top, one sort of on the bottom. I make sure that my papers are, you know, into the crease as much as possible there. And then actually I think I'm going to put this on here so it doesn't keep opening up on me and getting in the way. And then I'm just going to use some nylon cording that I have, and I'm just going to make it like 2, 2.5, not quite 3 for this. I don't know, I always seem to have way too much extra. And because my nylon cording doesn't have any, it's not waxed, I'm just gonna run it through some beeswax. This is optional if you can handle the thread without doing this. I like to do this because it makes it a little bit sticky and then gives me something, you know, to kind of work with. And like I said, I sometimes would use templates for this kind of thing, but I'm not gonna. And since I want my ties to be on the inside, I'm gonna start on the inside. Now, if you have questions, I'm not really gonna go through this step by step, the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, but I will post a video or post a link to a video of where I explain how to do these stitches if you're interested in learning how to do them. So I'm going to start with this one, this signature here on the back, and then I'll probably do the second one here, and then I'll do the front one here. And this one, because it's a little bit smaller, it doesn't have the full height, I will have a smaller area to do my 3-hole pamphlet stitch in. So that one maybe we'll go through a little bit closer so that you can see that. But these big ones, they're just, you know, just your standard 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So I'm just going to go ahead and do them. Okay, I did my signatures and I apologize. My camera didn't go on while I did this small one, but I wanted to kind of just show you what I did. So in the 2 signatures that are full size, I can find the middle here, you can see that my stitching goes all the way up to about 1/2 inch from either end there, excuse me, to cover the whole edge. But on this front signature, my stitching only goes to here, and that's because that's where the flap is. Now, if you had put your flap further down or further up to the top, you know, you would just want to make sure that you're looking at that as you're doing your stitches to make sure that your pamphlet stitch goes through to the flap that you have on. So that was kind of my goal there. I didn't want to have it coming off of the end at all. I wanted to leave it so that it was on the flap. So now what I'm going to do, excuse me, is I'm going to start looking through it, and I'm going to start looking through at my tuck spots and maybe some of the pages. I'm going to do some embellishing, maybe some stamping, maybe adding some fabric because I don't have any fabric in here yet besides on the edges. And I always like to add fabric to my journals. And then I may also do some fiddling with some of these edges. So for these pages that, you know, are nice and neat here, I might crinkle them up a little, might distress them a little bit so that they look a little bit more worn. And I'm just going to go through and make sure anything that I'm thinking sticks out too much, you know, either cut it off or, like I said, distress it a little bit so that it's not sticking out too much. But I think this is a really good start. I love the way it's coming together. And now we're just going to do some embellishing. So by the time I come back, I'm probably going to have it all done and you can take a look at it from there. All right, and just like that, my journal is all done. So I didn't go through all the different steps of what I did to decorate this journal, but as I do a flip through, you know, I'll kind of give you some of that information. My main point for this video was to show you how to make a flip-flop journal using some recycled packaging. So that's kind of where I wanted to go with this. So I did decide, I was trying to come up with a theme that went with my green background pages that I love so much, and I decided to use my Mooney kit to embellish this journal. So as you go through, most of the images with moons that you'll see in here are from my Moony kit. And then I also used a lot of pieces from my locker tags kit to kind of decorate with some numbers and some things like that. So those are the two kits that are the main focus, besides this new one that that is called Lichen, that will be in the shop very soon. That's what I've used throughout this journal. All right, so let's go ahead and get through the flip through. So my front flap here opens up, and we have an extra flip here. And I did put two little tags in here, and I've backed all my tags with either cardstock or coffee dyed paper or something like that to give you lots of room to write on there. And then I did put some washi tape throughout the journal as well, with some fibers and things like that. So this is just a little mini envelope here that is empty. There's nothing in there, but I kind of like the way this looked as this was closed here, to have something additional there. And then I have some old ledger paper, my Edith Holden book pages. I put some of those in here as well. I have, I'm just going to pull this piece of paper. I don't have anything really to use, but this could be a little pocket here. It is open on the side. So you could, sew it up, or you could glue it up or whatever to make it a pocket, or even things will probably, stay in there anyway. And then I have this beautiful old map from a friend who was cleaning out an office that does surveying. And then I have a little note card here that has a lined index card back there. Oops, oh, that is one page. And then I've added little bits kind of to a lot of the pages, just to have some added interest here. So this is just some bits from the two kits, the locker tags and the Lichen kit there. And of course, I love my old ledger pages. And then this is a cabinet card from the Moony kit. Whoa, as it falls over. Do have some washi tape on the back there. And some labels. And then here is the second signature. I have another beautiful cabinet card there. I love these Paper Moon cabinet cards. They're so fun. And then I just created one, some on index cards with some of the Lichen kit too. So those are fun. And I did add a little tab on the side here with some stamps. And I did put some stamps throughout too. And then I took this ledger page and I folded it over and actually glued the top and bottom, so it became a nice little side pocket tuck here on this page. And there's another Paper Moon cabinet card. And I did add some stamping, as I said. I tore some pages so that I was roughing up the edges a little bit. And then I have another one of these survey maps in here, but I added some more of the moon pictures on there, some more washi tape, and just some little collage bits that I had that I thought added some interest. And this is a big collage bit that I have there, and I created this tag. And then let's see. Oh, I put another envelope here with these cute little clips. And then I have a paper clip on this one. This is another one of those things that are folded up, and I just put a paper clip on there to kind of hold it together for now. And this is another note card that you could use to jot some things down on. And then another cabinet card. That one's really pretty too. The little side pocket there. And then this is the back of the journal, but of course, since it's a flip-flop journal, you just flip it open on this side to go through the last signature that we put together. So here is another note card that's kind of a right side up note card like this. It does have lines on the back that way, but I wanted it to kind of have some fun sticking out of the bottom of this top tuck that I had made there. More Edith Holden pages. Some tracing paper that I coffee dyed. I love the way that sounds. Just some blank coffee pages, more collage bits in here. The other side of that tracing paper. And then this is the last pocket in the journal, which has another Paper Moon cabinet card in it with two lovely gals sitting there. All right. And then that brings us right back around to the beginning. All right, and that's it for this video, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful to learn how to make an easy flip-flop journal from recycled Amazon packaging, and I hope that you'll give this a try for yourself. I'll probably be putting this journal into my shop. If you're interested in taking a look at that, you can head over to my shop. I will link it down below for you. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, friends, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.